Aloha. I wanted to make a quick video to kind of tie in what I've been speaking about as far as the movement overall, like the national movement, the international movements, the political stuff. And just real quick, kind of tie this in because um, I like referencing the loudest mouths that are out there, and you can see that they're very categorized as like particular dots. You have right wing, left wing, Democrats, Republicans. You have people who believe in politics, period. Then you have people who are so-called conspiracy theorists. Then you have the New Age community. Then you have transhumanism communities, the science community, the university perspectives, the NASA stuff. You have the flat Earth peoples. You got all these different categories that people are focused on and take perspectives on, and I like to approach them as all being connected because they all are how I see this stuff. And Alex Jones, just like David Icke, is kind of like one of the same sort of information thread peoples. And I've been observing this information stream, I guess, since he came into my like field of seeing how he fits in this whole thing, just like David Icke some years ago, where I was getting information from them a few years ago, and then it turned into wait, I need to start paying attention to how they're saying what they're saying, as opposed to what they're actually saying, because they are definitely part of a particular agenda that I am not allowing myself to see back those years ago, because I was caught up within the information download that they are focused on promoting. A lot of it was fear, a lot of it was powerlessness, a lot of it was angst and all kinds of stuff, just like David Icke with the reptilians and all that stuff. And at the same time, the only way they can sell that stuff is if they sell some other information that is part of a particular storyline that is counter to other like worse storylines. So they have the bad, the worst, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then they have like all kinds of different variations of this. But ultimately, a lot of the majority of them are telling the same story, just on different frequencies. So this one that came up with this whole American flag under attack stuff, 4th of July today, you have the Purge movie that just came out. The fact that those movies even exist, first of all, and you have the so-called Black consciousness movement that's been gearing up. Then you have the Black Lives Matter stuff that's gearing up, which is more political, and they're not the same at the same time. But when they get activated as then they have a common enemy in a sense, which is what the Republican and race war sort of triggering mentality is trying to do. Instead of understanding the whole stories, how they fit together, there are particular groups and individuals who are being baited into a particular mindset. And if you get a few individuals and then hit that trigger, then you can activate a larger group from that smaller group of individuals. Like Black Lives Matter is a small group of individuals, in a sense, and the Black Consciousness Movement is a smaller group of individuals. People are grouping up together in small groups when you have the antagonists like Trump out there is talking about, Mexicans this and Muslims that and all that shit. He is actually gathering a mentality, a group together psychologically creating these teams of separation by just him existing and being able to say that shit. Not even to mention how the news puts him out there with billions of dollars of commercial or media coverage in order to promote that mentality. That is the intent. That is the essence of what Trump and even Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton is all out there. It's this triggering of your psyche in order to keep you in this, just like maybe 4 years ago, a lot of people used to really look into Alex Jones and really listen to him and spreading the truth and all this other shit. But when you know now, and you look now, and the same with David Icke, when you see it now, you see they're only telling particular versions of the story that's part of a bigger story that we won't be able to put together unless we get outside of their field of focus. So the politics as a whole does this, and it's creating. They're playing with the numbers. They don't really care about individuals, even though like even my videos get filtered. My videos, like I used to have, like if I would type in the Mandela effect just to look for new videos, I would see a few of my videos pop up on the search queue. Now they're just like being hidden or like taken away, or maybe it's because there's so many other ones, but they're definitely fucking with the view counts. They're messing with all kinds of stuff, likes, and other people are telling me this too. So thank you for people who are subscribed, who are sharing this information. But like I referenced before, I'm not really concerned with that because it's more about the energetic intent, the fact that people are talking about this. If I make a video and I put it out there, that's all I can really do. Like the reason why I got off Facebook is because of the filtering and that whole algorithm of Facebook and what that was doing, and how they were just like hoarding energy and hoarding information and logging it into the artificial intelligence grid. It was just like a streamlined download, and I was just like well, this is enough for me. If I'm gonna do anything, I gotta put it out there, straight out of my mouth, straight like in the moment, and then that'll just be it. That'll be whatever it is. So that's why I moved over to YouTube to share this stuff. So actually taking away the energy being pumped into Facebook and then activating it more organically in YouTube, and then I can expand with like video styles and all kinds of stuff, which will come later. But anyway, yeah. So this filtering is also, it's tied into just like how the output of energies are out there in order to get people to think certain ways. So I wanted to read this and then play this the end of this. Basically, they did an interview talking about asking people on the streets about the forefather or the founding fathers, like who are your favorite founding fathers or some shit like that. And then they get like people who don't know, and they get people who say dumb answers, and then they say like then they have somebody who has an American flag and was told to take the American flag down because of it's offending people, and then they create these teams, these mentalities. And the reason why I'm doing this video right now, especially on 4th of July, is because this is what the Alex Jones, in quotation marks, energy, the whole now, because they're like backing Trump now as like like I said in the last videos, there's the globalists and everybody else, and that's how they're playing the movie. But it's not everybody else. On the mainstream, it's the globalists and these other people like Trump, and the movie line is like the Trump, Alex Jones, and whoever else joins that stream of thought, who's put themselves out there as the heroes to go against the globalist control grid. And Alex Jones is one of the main ones. My point being is that they're utilizing this whole nationalistic mentality, like the American flag and all this stuff, in order to create a program that is a movie. It's a movie reel, and they're gonna use, oh, the people are going against America. They want to. The other side to this is the whole North American Union stuff. This is where BREXIT ties in, and the African Union and everything, and this is gonna be the precursor to the whole like New World Order Union. Everything, everybody being united. So the European Union magically. Gets broken down, and then coincidentally the African Union starts to take some kind of shape, and then Obama starts talking about the North American Union all at the same time. And these seeds have been planted back when George Bush was already out as the president, baby Bush. So like, all this shit is not just happening right now. It's being activated right now. And this is a timing. It's all part of the whole Trump, Hillary, Bernie Sanders. It's all to get your mindset going in that state of mind. And the teams that are being set up like this are being more revealed for who and what they are. When you see videos like this, knowing that there's a deeper storyline than just the Constitution and the Founding Fathers, but this is where they are standing. This is where they are making their stand and saying, this is what it's all about, America. And this is why they're talking about they're backing up Trump now, is because Trump is talking about make America great again. That's like, if you go further back, which is not very difficult to see, when was America, and first of all, before I even go into that space, because I keep referencing it as America, it's not America. They're talking about the United States. It's not America, so it's just making themselves bigger. So anyway, this so-called American flag, it's not an American flag, it's the United States flag. The United States flag. So this whole make America great again stuff is it's a psychological program, and it makes you like think on a certain level. It creates this cowboys and Indians mentality, and it totally negates the whole indigenous storyline and the slavery storyline. Because when was so-called America, which is they're actually referring to the United States, ever great? It was always slavery. It was always genocide. They only have the forefathers, or their so-called founding fathers, and the Constitution to stand on, and the facade of having set the foundation for freedom in the entire, earth plane. And this is what I wanted to read right here that says it all. It says, July 4th, a time for fireworks, homemade apple pie, and reflection on the founding principles of the amazing experiment focused on individual freedom known as the United States of America. The reflection has now devolved into rampant stupidity. And as a socialist and anti-capitalist virus spreads among the inherent generations across the fruited plain, the reflection on our founding principles gradually morphs into a tsunami of guilt. So this, I didn't even read that. Let me read the rest of it then. No, that just goes into what the video is talking about. You can read it and pause it here if you want to, or watch this video. It's just ridiculous anyway. But that was basically the essence, the tone of what I wanted to share, is that this shit is creating a mentality that is built on broken foundations and just rotted shit, and it's moving into the good guys and the bad guys are going to be put out there, and then people are not even going to be knowing what to choose. They're just going to say, oh, I don't know, and then just go with the herd, which is what the whole system is banking on. So people are so confused, divided, they can be conquered. So so this group that is holding on to the apple pie, United States, the fireworks, the flag, the Constitution, the founding fathers, and all this shit, talking about the amazing experiment, the founding principles of the amazing experiment focused on individual freedom. So That individual freedom that they're speaking on was founded when slavery was instituted and legal. It was active in this so-called amazing experiment focused on individual freedom. Segregation was still heavy duty even later on down the years. Racism is still heavy duty in the political system, to the umpteenth degree, to the most extreme mentalities, and it's constant. So it's a growing pattern basically, and I just wanted to like put this out there because this kind of goes on top of the Brexit stuff that I was talking about, how it relates to the United States and the Americas, the energy of America, and the storyline as a whole, how it relates to consciousness expansion and the de-evolution program, the dissension program, the distraction grid, all this shit. Everybody is being distracted from connecting organically with each other, with really understanding like what's going on with even questioning stuff like the flat earth, questioning the Mandela effect, questioning the stuff that's outside. Like when they talk about politics and the founding fathers and all this shit, they're taking your focus away from stuff like transhumanism and all that shit. And because they're going to bring that in later to sell you this so-called amazing experiment focused on individual freedom and all this shit. So their next versions of freedom is going to have to do something with technology and all this bullshit. But I just wanted to play this next clip, or this little ending of this video, so you can see, just feel like where they're coming from, what they're talking about. And then they get Alex Jones out there, and he's going to be able to get in your face, and he's going to tell you all this shit about how fucked up everything is. And you're going to believe this shit, because it's like, it's been, or some people are going to believe it because it's been pounded into their heads for so many years. And you have the bad guys out there, and what he says, some of the stuff he's saying is making sense, and then other people are going to get really emotional about it. But ultimately, when you really break it down, you can see where their foundations are, and they're weak as fuck. They are weak. When they are still talking about the American flag and apple pie and all that shit, then you understand that this shit is straight up bogus. And you can understand this is why it's called info wars. They want you to consistently be at war. It's not to make them look like they are sharing information that's not being shared. It's a constant psychological warfare. So as long as you are stuck in a constant psychological warfare, then you will not be able to expand outside of that level of consciousness of the control grid, and will remain within. This is why I talk about how important it is to go into the depths of understanding where Caucasian people came from, where the colonial grid started, why white supremacy exists. Like all these storylines are very connected to stuff like the education system, the political game, the New Age movement, transhumanism, the globe model, all this shit, all this stuff, even affecting time and all this, that they're CERN and talking about like going interdimensional stuff and time travel and all this shit and black holes. All this shit is connected. If you don't see it as connected, it's because you haven't gone into how deeply connected this stuff really is. If it's connected by even one thread, that's important, because somebody can be choked out by one thread. Somebody can be led down a path off a cliff in one thread. And that's kind of like what we do every time we go like vest our energies into an individual or a group or something, and instead of going into expanding it and seeing how it fits the bigger pictures. These individual channels like Alex Jones, David Icke, and all that other stuff, they are in individual threads, and it's important to speak on this stuff because it affects people. There's large groups of people that fit in there. So people have a problem with me speaking on like individuals or groups or channels or stuff like that, as far as referencing them, I don't really have any emotional attachment to them. I've already understood and passed on all that shit. I don't really care about, the individuals. I'm really concerned more so about the people who are vested their energy inside of this shit. And then beyond this, people who are in the new age mentality, or the even the so-called consciousness mentality of we are all one human soul. Yes, that exists on one version, but that is just the title of the story. If you start to do that, you are just creating another idol to worship. If you just say we're all human, we're all one, we're all this, then why do we have different versions of humans? Why are there different versions of birds? What are the harmonies that go on, that exist that within the different dances, the different stories, the different mythologies? They are called mythologies only because an individual group or mindset has said, well, this is truth. This is really what happened. This is, God's word, and everything else is a myth. Everything else is, that's what the word mythology came from. But when you go into mythology, you will see that all these so-called mythologies, they are all telling the same story in different versions. So that is actually the actual connected space that's more connected deeply, individually and collectively, than this so-called generic version of understanding humanity, where we could say, oh, we're all one soul, we're all this, we all that. No, there's more to it. Yes, that's true. But you can't just throw out the physical reality with just the love and light perspectives of stuff. You have to actually understand what it means. What does this stuff mean? Not how it's being used to separate people. What it means in existence, period. So when we understand that there is humanity and souls and one soul and all this other stuff in a connection to source and the angels and stuff like that, and even you can even relate it to source and angels and step downs and the jinn and all that stuff and demons and all that stuff. Understanding the differences between that, you have to understand why, and then you can understand the differences between humanity and what's going on here, and why stuff is going on here. So it matters. That's my main point, is it matters. You can't just say that it doesn't matter because you feel better about the way you perceive something else. That's just a fancy form of ignorance. It's like a happy, it's a prescription drug. That's what it is. It's a prescription drug. It is not going into the essence of understanding what's really going on on the depths of things. It's just finding a way out, finding a way to answer for some things. And this is this sort of Alex Jones stuff. They want to give you these answers. They want to give you answers so you can be he's just a prescription drug. David Icke is a prescription drug. Obama with his Hope campaign and all that shit. And when they're going to start coming out with this North American Union and union shit all over the place, these are all prescription drugs. Prescription drugs for the collective. And however you envision your reality is how they will sell you it. So if you are still able to be sold bacon, egg, cheese biscuits from McDonald's, then they will sell you that. If you are only eating organic, then they will sell you something like this, like metaphorically. Like if they can only sell you conspiracy theories, then they will sell you a certain version of conspiracy. If they can sell you aliens, they'll sell you aliens. If they can sell you technology, they'll sell you technology. If they can sell you politics, they'll sell you politics, but it will still all exist inside. If you need space, they'll sell you space. They'll give you something to focus on, whatever it is. If you focus only on movies, they'll give you movies. They'll give you X-Men Apocalypse and The Purge and The Avengers and all this other shit. They'll give you that stuff. But you'll still exist in a box if you don't connect all the dots of all those threads. So I'll end it here and just play this little clip so you can see kind of like what I'm talking about as far as how they set themselves up to be the victims and the heroes at the same time, in order to push an agenda.
Is the United States of America after almost 8 years of a president who has repeatedly misled an American populace he regards as pawns in a larger scheme under a banner of New World Order.
So this is how they're saying, like, these are the patriots who are saying, who the people behind this camera who are making this video saying, oh, we are the patriots and the New World Order globalist system are the bad guys. Not seeing that they are still a part of the program could very well be definitely just how I'm seeing it. Like, personally, this is no different than the globalist stuff. This is actually just the same. It's just another version of it, and it's part of the story. It's more complex than, just a linear. Politics as a whole is a linear thing. It's like, we say this, you vote. That's just one straight line. So when they activate stuff like Alex Jones, then that's just another line in the system to make you think a certain way. And this is how they're trying to make you think. It's like, we're the good guys, those are the bad guys, and listen to us because we're the good guys. Remember, don't look at anything else. This is what's
initiatives. Fly that flag, America, not as a symbol of civil disobedience, but as an act of the symbol of the individual freedom that flag has afforded you. John Bound for Infowars.com.
The individual freedom that flag has afforded you. Never going into the Native Americans, never going into the genocide, never going into the massacres, never going into the capitalistic chokehold on the entire earth plane, never going in to the further agenda that flag is going to be setting the platform for this whole like union stuff. They're setting it up. And they're creating the good guys and bad guys. And the good guys and bad guys in the same movie. The intent of that movie is the so-called bad guy agenda. The movie itself is the psychological program that is the prescription drug that the bad guys and good guys exist within. And this is what they're pushing. Just like, keep pushing NASA, keep pushing patriotism, keep pushing apple pie, keep pushing this fireworks, keep pushing angst, keep pushing all these mentalities, and then just, we'll see. Well, hopefully people will fall into their box. That's what they're banking on, and then people do it because they're so caught up in work and everything, and not really able to do much of anything. We don't have time to be going into research and all this other stuff. I know that's why I research a lot of stuff with my time and then share it, because I remember being in that space of, I just want to relax a lot of the time. I don't even want to look at this shit because it's too much a lot of the times. But once you get into a groove and a flow and an understanding of it, then it becomes something more. It becomes something that can't not be done. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share this like prime example that ties in stuff like this new world, new age agenda stuff, and the distraction grid, and how the stories exist, not necessarily how and why, not necessarily what the story is talking about, because the what is just a distraction in itself. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.